you will come to know grief. You will know no pain. What is that guidance? In Surah An-Nisa, again, now we come to the understanding of the philosophy of gender in Islam as it impacts upon marriage. You do not quote this verse of the Quran in isolation. No. You've got to take this verse of the Quran and put it into context, which is what we're doing. Yes, I know that there is a historical event which occurred, which is connected to the revelation. But leave that historical event for the time being, the Asbab al-Tanzil. Allah says in Surah An-Nisa, الرجل قوامون على النساء, that men in their relationship with women, men have something called qawwam. Qama yaqumu qawwam. What is this qawwam? It can best be understood, qawwam, in the context of functions. That's the best way to understand qawwam. Men must maintain women. And so you cannot marry unless you have the capacity to maintain. If you do not have the capacity to maintain, you can still marry, provided she has the capacity and she offers it to you, as in a very famous incident. The marriage proposal came, he said, I can't afford. And then she asked, well, what about if that problem could be solved? He said, who could it be? Khadija. But if we look at the normal state, it is only when a man has the capacity to maintain that he can marry. Boys don't have that capacity. Not only must a boy become a man, baligh, but more than that, having become baligh, he must be able to earn a livelihood, to be able to maintain a wife and the children who are going to be born. Good. But qawwam is not only to maintain, qawwam is also to guard and to protect. When I lived for 10 years in New York, and I noticed something over there, that an American woman can be walking on the street, and you know the mini skirts and so on, they're fond of, and men would be teasing her and whistling, and you know, and some men may even pass that limit, and she might even find herself being touched and pushed and so on. And people will be passing by and nobody will come to her help. No. You on your own, baby. This is the modern age. But I also noticed that in Brooklyn, where the African Americans are, nobody dares to do that to a Muslim woman. Not in Brooklyn. Because if you make the mistake to harass a Muslim woman, the Muslim men of Brooklyn will give you a lesson you will never forget. Yeah. Don't believe me? Go Brooklyn and see. So men must guard and protect women and of course children. it is in this context, that men have a function related to gender. A function related to gender. A function of maintaining, and maintenance means work. And Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. And the night symbolizes libas, and the day symbolizes work to earn your livelihood. And in Surah Al-Layl of the Quran, he builds an analogy between the night and the day and the male and the female. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى إِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ لَشَتَّى. And by the night and that which it shrouds and covers, libas, so mysteriously, with such splendor, and by the day and its bright light for work, for toil, for earning your livelihood. وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. That in the same way that I created the day and the night, so too did I create the male and the female. إِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ لَشَتَّى. You are functionally different. Full stop. The philosophy of gender in Islam is now explained. That Allah created the male and female with no superiority or inferiority. Forget that rubbish. Allah created the male and the female the way He created the night and the day. Inna sa'yakum lashatta. You are functionally different. And it is because He wants us to respect the functional difference between the male and the female and not change it, and not allow Dajjal to change it. When Dajjal says, how many women do you have in the cabinet? How many women do you have as judges? How many generals in the army are women? Have you heard Dajjal? Have you heard Dajjal? How many women in parliament? Did you hear Dajjal? How many women in executive positions? Did you hear Dajjal? Let them go their way, and let us go our way. Regardless of how many choose to follow Dajjal, we don't want to follow him. No. Mankind has a choice today. When you study Akhirul Zaman, Islamic Eschatology, then you will understand that the choice before mankind today is either following Allah and His Messenger or following Dajjal. There's no other choice. And so because men are functionally different from women, men have different functions to perform, functions connected with the day, with the outside world, with the public life, functions connected with guarding and protecting, that Allah has made it obligatory on women to be obedient to their husbands or to their guardians. This obedience to your husband, and obedience to your father does not signify that he is superior than you are in Allah's sight. It is like a nuclear plant. Suppose the Malaysian government chooses, very sensibly so, to build a nuclear plant in Johor Bahru. And to enter the nuclear plant, you have to have a pass. And there are guards at the gate. The chief nuclear scientist comes one night at midnight. He forgot his pass at home. He says to the guard, "Let me in." Guard says, "Tak boleh." "No sir, show me your pass." He cannot show his pass. God said, "You cannot enter." Does not make the guard superior to the nuclear scientist? If you say the guard is now superior to the nuclear scientist, you should buy a one-way ticket to the moon. No, the guard has a job to do. And in order for him to do his job, the nuclear scientist has to obey the guard. So go back home and get your pass and come, and then I'll let you in. I am the boss here. You're not. See? So Allah has given to men a functional role to perform. And in order for men to perform that functional role, women must be obedient to their husbands, to their fathers, to their guardians. What kind of obedience? Is this a blank check? No. Obedience to your husband in all matters which do not entail disobedience of Allah and His Messenger. Dajjal now comes along and says, no, this is discriminatory to women. And so a modern feminist revolution comes which says that men and women are equal. What nonsense is that? We never put an equal sign between the male and the female. We're not that stupid. Whoever says that the sun, the day and the night are equal? The day and the night are equal? Don't you have any sense in your head? No, let us teach you the subject. O you who have no knowledge, the day and the night are not equal to each other. The day and the night complement each other. Men and women are not equal to each other. Men and women complement each other. When will you understand? And so, a philosophy of gender has emerged that is now under attack. A new philosophy of gender has emerged which says that men and women are equal to each other. And anything a man does, a woman should have the freedom to be able to do it. In the pursuit of the night wanting to become day, well, in Singapore the night is already day. In Malaysia the night is trying very hard to become day. But in Indonesia, I assure you, the night is still night. And if you see an Indonesian woman in a military uniform, oh, she looks so abzaki, she clumsy. She cannot wear a military uniform because she is still so much a woman. And so now, in order for the night to become day, something happens to marriage. Remember, وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَالنِّسَاءَ, that there is a functional role of marriage. Allah wants you to marry so you can have children. And when you have children, you have something called a family. And if you marry at the time that Allah wants you to marry as a girl, then your children will grow up and they will marry. And your grandchildren will be born. And they will grow up and marry. And your great-grandchildren will be born. And so you will have generation after generation in the same family. The intergenerational bond is essential for stability in the family, because the elders are venerated, and when grandpa or great-grandpa speaks, everybody down the line have to listen. So the government doesn't have to send the Ministry of Gender Affairs to teach us anything, because we already have our ministry here. We have 4 generations in a family. The family comes into being, and the family is the building block of society. If you attack the family, you are attacking the social order. The family, as it expands and becomes intergenerational, now expands in size. So larger and larger family. I believe this is still there in Terengganu. And that helps to keep wayward children in place. And so you have a certain discipline in the family. It's not just mommy and daddy anymore. It's a whole family. Straightening you up. Socializing you. But then you also have families joining together to make a tribe. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلًا. Allah takes families and bring them together to make a tribe. And the tribes come together to make a nation. And so everything is bonded together based on the family, which is based on marriage. And if you change the relationship between the male and the female, that the male has the responsibility to maintain. The male has the responsibility to guard and to protect. And the female has to be obedient to the male. If you change this and you attack this, eventually you're going to be living in a collapsing society. Look around the world today. Around the world today, society is collapsing wherever Dajjal has succeeded in changing the rules of marriage. Now,